Hello, how's it going, gang? Now look who's early.
Hello, how's it going, gang?
Oh dear, shut up. Wait, why can't I hear myself?
Now look who's early.
I don't know, I can hear you.
How's it going, gang?
Oh dear, shut up. Wait, why can't I hear myself? I have myself on a window somewhere. Must find the window. Oh, found it. Phew. Do you like my really high-tech show starting soon sign, gang?
I mean, it's definitely a sign that's there.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
Wait a minute, did I become Baggins? Also, why am I not on there?
Because I haven't updated the names yet from last week.
Splice.
I'm also waiting to still haven't heard from Lunasaur and Lizzie. I don't think they're making it, but
Yeah, well, you know. I mean, I can tell you all about the days of going and pre-ordering and doing stuff, and I've got quite a few stories lined up for tonight.
that is good. Because I don't have as many, actually.
Oh, well then, we'll just fire you and I'll be the host from now on.
You see, that feels like an overreaction.
Feels like just the appropriate reaction.
It might be just you, me, and Baggins today.
Oh, really? Okay, well.
No, well, because
you know.
Breakfast texted me, says he's not going to be able to make it. He can't get home in time. And Lunasaur and Lizzie haven't responded at all. So,
Well, you know.
I'm assuming they're busy.
They are parents with kids.
Indeed.
So.
I'm not
know.
criticizing them.
Oh, no, I know you're not criticizing them. That would make you a monster.
Indeed.
I mean, but we already know you're a monster. So
I'm not a monster.
that wouldn't be new information.
Mithril, are you planning on joining us later?
Don't do it, Mithril. Run. We're taking the bullet so that you can live.
Well, he's normally late because he,
Yeah, he raids.
yeah.
You know, that's a concept I could just never get behind.
Really?
Yeah. Like, just, like, raiding, like, you tell me where to be for, like, a D&D game, and I will move heaven and earth to be there. You tell me that I have to, like, give up the same night every week to go play a video game with all of my friends, and it just short-circuits my brain. And I don't,
Interesting, because
and
those are the same thing in my head.
Yeah, like, but, like, it's not even, like, a thing where, like, you know, I look down upon it. It's just, I would rather do... I would rather like do tabletop gaming with a group than have a regular video game.
Just one moment, Kami's-eye. Jokaya, I see you're responding on Twitch, which means I may have accidentally dual streamed this.
Yay!
Let us double check and see what's going on over on Twitch. And see if that is the case.
Have you ever thought about, does this get turned into like an audio podcast that you can put out there?
That is something I eventually am thinking of doing. I just haven't. I don't want to commit myself to it because then I need to host it, which is a different layer of work.
No. When I did a podcast, all I just pretty much did was I just pressed record and just said, all right, everyone talk. If it doesn't work, then it's Splice's fault. Which is weird.
It's always Splice's fault.
I did send us live over on Twitch. Apparently I forgot to unhit that.
Well,
Branching into new markets.
Special Twitch edition of I Think We Overleveled. Which, by the way, I firmly believe the title of the channel, or the status of the channel, the Green Ranger was always better than the White Ranger. Go Team Green.
All right, Jokaya. So normally this is streamed only on my YouTube channel, so I can't stop it though. Because if I can't stop it on one channel and not the other with restream. So we
haven't started.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
like,
no, because then I'd have to completely make an entirely new stream for YouTube. It's the problem of YouTube. It's real easy to stop and start on Twitch and Kick because it's how it's designed. You don't need to bounce, Jokaya. There's no reason for that.
No,
just letting you
Jokaya, stay.
Just letting you know. That
Have a drink.
if no one shows up in Twitch chat, you know why. That's all.
Yeah.
If you want the YouTube link, let me know.
And if you don't want the YouTube link, have some spaghetti. So how are you? Baggins?
What does Bono's dry eyes have to do with this?
I mean, Bono's dry eyes have a lot to do with everything.
I am very
mean,
confused.
Why does it matter if YouTube links?
What? You've completely lost me.
You said you needed to get YouTube to blink. If you want the YouTube link.
Wow. Jeez Louise, that spoonerism took extra levels of work to get there.
There's no spoonerism there.
And plus, isn't this, I think we overleveled? Shouldn't there be many levels to everything that we do?
That's not a spoonerism.
So it is a...
Bagginism?
Homophone?
I thought spoonerism is when you mispronounce things on purpose.
I didn't mispronounce it.
You mispronounced it, Splice. And Baggins took advantage of it.
No, I'm just saying there is no changing of pronunciation. It's just a cadence thing there.
So that that doesn't follow under spoonerism though?
No, spoonerism is when you swap the starting letters of two words.
Oh, I thought it was just blanket mispronouncing on purpose.
You're thinking malapropism.
Yeah, there's no way I was, because I did not know that word.
You love what?
I love the fact that you two are having a grammar fight right now.
It's not a grammar fight. It's a grammar lesson. I'm having him instruct me. His degree is in English. I trust him when he tells me these things.
That's pretty awesome.
No, I'm trying to get the understanding of how I misunderstood it. Because I've apparently been using spoonerism wrong.
Do you know what spoonerism is named after?
Spoons.
No.
Well, then I'm lost.
Wow.
No, it's actually named after a guy named W.A. Spooner.
You have to be making this up.
I am not making this up.
No one has the last name Spooner.
What was his name again, Baggins? I'm going to look this up.
W.A. Spooner. Look it up.
Oh, yeah, because I'll trust your word on
I
things.
think he actually may have been a reverend.
Yes, you are actually correct there. His name was William Archibald Spooner.
That is the most...
He was a British clergy.
Okay, but am I wrong to think that name sounds completely made up?
No.
It sounds like the name
of
like
a
of a
line of Spooners in history. Where have you been, Splice?
Oh, we're getting a Patrybka. I did not anticipate a Patrybka. This is a pleasant surprise.
You haven't anticipated a lot, especially not the grammatical power of William Archibald Spooner.
Patrybka, did you know the spoonerism was named after a reverend?
Sounds about right.
You're very echoey. I don't think you're coming through the right mic.
I'm trying something weird, so I don't know.
He was most notable for his absent-mindedness and known for supposedly mixing up the syllables in spoken phrases with unintentional comedic effect.
When?
Such phrases became known. This was
Early 20th century.
Yeah, like he was born in July of 1844 and he died in August of 1930.
Where was this around?
It's in Oxford, dude.
Man. I'm just shocked that one reverend doing that could become a whole thing.
I mean, a lot of things are whole things.
Yeah, I just, turn of the century reverend. I wouldn't have expected it to have that big of an effect, to travel that worldwide. Oxford's a good place, though, if you wanted to be that type of person.
They've got a list of some of the things which he said that that
Dude.
caused this.
If that blows your mind, wait till I introduce you to the origin of the word quiz.
I actually don't know the origin of the word quiz.
It was
Are we just gonna-
specifically made up by a guy. Like I can't remember if it was a dare or a bet or something, but basically what he did is he came up with the word, and then he hired like young boys to go around and graffiti it everywhere.
You did okay. You blew my mind. I successfully have my mind blown. Unless you're making this up too, like
I am not making this up.
okay, because it'd be the perfect time to make something up.
That's the beauty of Baggins. He doesn't have to make anything up. He just spits truth facts, and then just blows your mind.
I don't. At a certain point, I just expect this to turn into two truths and a lie.
A widely repeated anecdote ascribes the word's invention to Richard Daly, the manager of a Dublin theatre. As one version of the story goes, he wagered that he could cause a word of no meaning to become the talk of the town within 48 hours and to acquire a definite, widely adopted meaning within a week. Accordingly, he had the letters Q, U, I, and Z written across doors and shutters all over Dublin. The subsequent public response led to his winning the wager. Now, it's not clear whether this is an accurate statement, but that's the story I know, and that's the one I'm sticking to.
Man, I had no clue. Hey, Spike, thanks. I did not expect to learn so much before we even started today.
Like, I'm just looking over like some of the recorded accounts of what brought about spoonerisms, and these are freaking hilarious.
Oh, there's some brilliant ones. My favorite is the Tale of Rintersella.
See, I'm not getting like any like actual like tales. Like, it's just like a very short
Rintersella
selection.
is great. It's Once upon a Wyme and a Corin Funtry, there lived a beautiful girl whose name was Rintersella. She lived with her muggly other and her two sad blisters.
I don't understand what was just said.
It was hilarious.
And yet you do.
I really don't.
Once upon a Wyme
Okay,
and a Corin Funtry.
that one I'm lost.
In a
On a
Corin
Corin
Funtry? Yeah. There lived a beautiful girl.
She lived a beautiful girl.
Her name was Rintersella, and she lived with her muggly other and her two sad blisters.
Petrivka, are you getting this? I'm trying to determine if this is because I'm technically minded or if it's just me.
It's just you. I
Look, I have an engineer here. I need data. At least I think we have an engineer here because I don't hear anything.
But poor Rintersella was in charge of all the rurdy dirt. She had to wop the chud and flop the moors.
There's no podcast tonight. It's just Baggins just flustering. It's just Baggins flustering.
Saying
Life.
strange.
And while she was doing all
Jabberwock
this rurdy
things.
dirt, her two sad blisters and muggly other just sat around cheating auklets and nagging Rita's. Was Brillig and the slightly toasted Gar and Gibble in the wave?
I am so lost.
So,
I love
hey,
everything about what's happening right now. It is amazing. I'm glad this is getting recorded. I'm gonna play this to my grandkids when I don't have them.
You just stepped into my house, Jordan. That's what happened.
I live in your house.
You don't know how deep
I
in my
occasionally
house
rented a
you've
room.
been
That's all I
living.
can say.
I am
What's that?
literally in the basement. I am at the deepest part of your house. I am well aware of how deeply I'm in your house. No one is more familiar with the deepness of your house than I.
The rabbit hole goes much deeper than you've ever realized.
We don't have rabbit problems. We have, I think, voles problems.
I think they're some sort of gopher, actually.
Isn't that what a vole is? Or am I mixing that up too?
A vole is that's its own thing.
Okay.
Sounds like a rodent of some kind.
It is a rodent of some kind.
but not the rodent my dad's having a war with, which is a squirrel.
Ooh, that's rough.
He bought a BB gun specifically so he can try and thin the herd. And I just remember him one time while I was visiting for Christmas. It was just, you know, because they're rodents, so they reproduce at just an insane rate. They stuff all his pool equipment with nuts and, you know, ruin everything. And my dad, like, one time, I'm home for Christmas,
Sounds to me like he invited them.
Well, no,
Sounds to me like they're paying rent.
Well, the issue used to, so we didn't used to have. We were one of the first houses in the subdevelopment, and back then we had coyote problems just because, you know, there weren't other humans around, and so we didn't have squirrel problems. Well, ever since humans moved in, we now have squirrel problems because we have no more coyotes eating them, and so they just
you threw off the balance.
yeah, and so.
You specifically threw off the balance. Point.
Yes. So the squirrels run amok. They get into the attic. They destroy crap, and so he's on a one-man warpath versus the squirrels. So he bought a BB gun so that he can fight them. And one day during Christmas break, I come downstairs and I see my dad laid out on the floor with the front door open a crack with the BB gun as he's sighting down some squirrels. And I'm just like, what are you doing? He goes, shh, I don't want to startle them. As he's trying to take a sniper position. And I'm like, why are you doing it?
Very quiet.
Yes. And so I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I can't open it up all the way. The neighbors will think I'm crazy. And I'm like, so you just want me to think you're crazy? And he's like, these things are destroying our house. I have to take them out somehow. And so he's apparently, my mom just says he'll sometimes just see him just get up because he saw a squirrel up on the fence. And he's just on this warpath. And I'm just like, they're just squirrels. And my dad just like, rats with good PR is what they are.
Kind of like paladins, are just warlocks with good PR.
Hey, Mithril, what link are you asking for? We can talk. It'll take them a while to answer because we're on the delay.
Indeed. Well, let me turn off the music I've had going, and then we'll get started.
Okay, Kami, I'm having trouble placing the font for yours, but it looks like an old school Enix game.
It is Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, is that from Baldur's Gate 3? That just looks...
it's at least similar to
chunkier.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, it just looks chunkier than I remember.
It might be chunkier than. I can say, however, Splice, I have been enjoying Hades 2.
How can you not? It's so good.
I mean, I can see where people might not like it, but I do. So
I'm still deciding. Like, I bought it and I have the early access, but I'm trying to decide if I want to wait for the full version. Just 'cause.
I think it's worth waiting.
Did it change something that sucks? Is that the trope we're using, or?
You still sound like you're underwater for some reason.
Because I'm using different headset right now.
Gotcha.
Because of reasons.
No worries. As long as it's
hey,
intentional.
He is a pirate, so being underwater is a valid state for him.
Most pirates would like to be above water.
Just visiting Davy Jones.
But
You've got
most
to be
pirates,
the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
I've heard of me.
But no, so what I like about being in the beta is being able to give my feedback because the Supergiant team is very responsive.
Right.
And so they've been listening to feedback.
And that's something that for this game would not appeal to me.
Yeah, and so I think it's worth waiting. But there's an entire part of the storyline as well that is actually a couple parts that are just missing.
Okay.
And
Also, I guess I still need to finish Hades.
True.
Like I've done it several times, but I haven't gotten the full story yet.
I think it's worth it. But
I
also just play it recreationally.
I'm just there to beat stuff up, and quite frankly, I got a promotion this week, and so it was my great job, Kami. Here's a gift from you to you. Present. So.
Good work.
Good work. Very good work, apparently.
All right. I am going to
Be on fire.
get us started.
No,
Probably
two
better.
people aren't on fire.
You guys don't need to be in there, but I am going to play a commercial with sound. It's the only one with sound I'm going to play today. So
Yep.
don't worry about it. I just need to unmute the tab. All right. Okay, I'll get us started.
Okay.
I think it was the year 1999 when it was the year of Pokemon, where they released like a crap load of different Pokemon games, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Yellow, and I saw a commercial for something that blew my mind. This commercial specifically.
A battle looms over this place. It's a battle for destiny, a battle for glory, a battle for
Pokemon Stadium, the place to prove you're the ultimate Pokemon trainer. You can upload your Game Boy Pokemon onto your N64, then for the first time ever, battle in 3D.
then a conquering hero is raised to victory. Sky high.
Rated E for everyone.
That blew my mind that Pokemon could be in 3D, so I said I needed to get the game. Well, the issue is I didn't have a driver's license at the time because I was not 16. So I had to get my mom to take me to Funcoland so that I could get the game. And I could tell she was really skeptical of this whole Pokemon thing. And she was not interested. But luckily, I was able to get it. And that was one of the first times where I actually went to the store to buy a game because, for the most part, almost all of my games I ever got were just gifts on Christmas. I had never gone to the store to get it myself. I am
Seriously?
Yeah.
1999?
Yep. The only times I can remember going before
Yeah.
were
How do you like it, man?
Yeah, the only times I can remember going before, I would get to browse at Toys R Us, which I thought just the wall of games
Oh, yeah.
was one of the coolest things in the world. But
I have a story about Toys
but
R
yeah,
Us.
but we would never buy there.
It was the demo unit that was the main event. The PlayStation that you had to wait in line for, or the Super Nintendo, or what have you.
Oh, see, I did that at Walmart or at
Best Buy.
I mean, yeah, you could do that at any number of places. I mean, Toys R Us was the one I did the most.
Well, and then
what was it?
Target was the big one for
Or
their kiosk.
Target was the other one for me.
Target had the kiosk that I never saw at any other store. They had a Virtual Boy kiosk,
Wow.
which
Gosh, yes.
I mean, it makes sense. Everything is read at Target.
yeah, and I just remember trying that thing out and immediately being like, "Who would ever want to play this?"
Wait. Is Target fake? Is Target
So
actually just a Virtual Boy
huge.
game?
I can
Yeah.
believe that. I can 100% believe that.
Simulation?
It is. No, and that's what I knew. No, this thing sucks.
Oh, man. See, you say that was your first time? Holy cow.
Yeah, like it's just I never, like, if we ever went to a store, my mom would never buy it if I was there. So
Hold up. Like, you didn't do Blockbuster? You were
we
not
would
a
do
Blockbuster
rent. We would
game
do
guy?
rent. Renting's different.
He's talking about the purchase
Okay.
experience.
Like the actual
Sure,
purchase.
sure.
So I didn't get to
Okay.
buy a game with my own money till 1999.
Okay. Oh gosh,
Keep
I
forgetting
remember.
what a baby you are compared to me.
But
I was
there
2
is something
years out
to
of
the
high
experience
school.
of walking to the counter with the game and knowing that someone's going to know that was me getting that game, and
Yeah.
somehow I was being judged in some way.
Which game were you being judged for?
Any game, right? Like if you go to rent and you go and like the person at the cash register is like, you're getting this one, or like,
Oh, dude,
okay,
I was proud. I was like, dude, check out what I'm getting.
Hey, I was just excited to get my render perspective graphic Super Mario game. So
See,
You and your
my
rendered
first-
perspective graphics.
My first buying
That's my
experience
dad's
that I
fault
can
again.
think of. My first buying experience that I can think of was going to Babbage's, and I picked up. It was the 5-in-1
Bilbo
set.
Savage.
Yes, it was the 5-in-1 set of LucasArts adventure games. and it had
What? What did it have?
It had the first Monkey Island game. It had Loom. It had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It had Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, and it had Maniac Mansion.
These are all floppies, I'm assuming.
Okay, that was okay. So this was the
point of order. Point of order. Original or Day of the Tentacle?
Original.
Okay.
But no, yes, it absolutely does make a difference. But no, so I went. These were 3.5-inch floppies, and that was my first mistake because I didn't. This was when I learned that 3.5-inch floppies were a thing. Because my computer, again, my Hyundai brand computer.
You only have a fiber? No!
1/4 inches.
I'm sorry, wait, I'm still hung up on Hyundai brand computer.
I think I've mentioned this before.
Yeah, but I forgot about it. I forgot that you had a lawnmower for a computer.
Yes, we had a Hyundai.
It was a two-stroke Hyundai PC.
No wonder it doesn't take the floppies very well.
I remember when my brother upgraded the computer, doubling the RAM by adding 4 megabytes of RAM.
Some people don't know the struggle that we had in those early days.
It was a different time.
Well, do you realize how hard it is to, like, sometimes you have to prime it and just can't get it to turn on?
I'm done with my story.
Sorry, I'm still hung up on Hyundai.
And I had the 5 1/4 inch floppy drive and no 3.5 inch. So I took it back, and they looked in the on their catalog, and they said, yeah, it does exist on 5 1/4 inch floppies.
Oh my gosh, how many did he need
they
though for that?
special ordered it. I think it was like 12.
What a stack.
So I brought it, but I brought it home, put it in, and the computer wouldn't read them. And that's when I learned that there was such thing as high density.
Oh, high density? No! Oh my gosh. This is such a horrible story.
Amazing.
That was when I learned that my computer was a dinosaur. And we kept that computer for probably a couple years after that.
Computer was not a dinosaur. It was a lawnmower. We've been through this.
I tried everything trying to figure out how to get those games to run. And I finally had to take it back. And I wish I'd kept it, because then I would have an original set of these LucasArts games, and that would just be amazing. But
it would be really good for a collection, but yeah.
But yeah, so that was my first experience with in-person purchasing of games.
Man, did it make a horrific grind when you put it in and it tried to read?
Oh, yes.
That lovely floppy.
Yeah, and all I'm thinking of is the Flopotron. He's probably looking for your exact hard drive so that he can turn it into a baseline.
To get that perfect sound.
If you haven't seen Flopotron, it's incredible. He just buys like old hardware and he makes these mechanical covers of songs.
It's the beauty of the stepper motor.
Yeah. Well, and my favorite is that the chorus is always done by they're not fax machines, but scanners.
Now, fortunately, though, thanks to companies like GOG.com, Good Old Games, I do have all of those games now.
Nice.
And I run them on my computer, and it makes me happy. Just the other day, actually, this wasn't one of those, but I actually played through the first 2 Police Quest games.
Oh wow! All right.
That was kind of my wind down on at the end of my birthday thing.
I only got to play those when I went to a friend's house.
When I was a kid, that's the only time I got to play them. And so now that I have, disposable income, this is what I spend my money on.
So I've only ever heard the name Zach McCracken just because it's one of the best named characters ever. What actually are those games?
They're point-and-click adventure games.
Okay.
It does sound like a Disney Channel show, but
yeah, definitely.
I still think I've played Zach McCracken yet. I do know that at one point you're supposed to blow up a potato in a microwave, though.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Spoilers.
Does it require aluminum foil to achieve? Or?
Spoilers for a 35-year-old game.
Named Zach McCracken.
And the alien mindbenders.
And the alien. Yes, sorry, I forgot
We mustn't
about.
forget the alien mindbenders.
Look, it's my
They're
fault.
the
I
plot
forgot
point.
them. I forgot them. That's
And then
on
the
me.
mind-bending nation attacked.
But anyway, yeah.
I remember
Special
honestly-
special order. That is.
We should
that is awesome.
We should honestly do an episode on point-and-click adventure games. I have so many stories to tell.
That would be on you guys, unfortunately.
Or even the predecessor where you had to type. Like the
Zork.
Hugo Whodunit adventures or Police Quest is also one of those, I think, right?
Zork.
Yep.
The only one of those I
if you're
ever.
going like no graphics even, but
Yeah, Police Quest
The
has
muds
two
and mud.
versions actually, because Police Quest they have the original version and then the VGA remake.
that actually has a mouse feature.
A lot of the early Sierra games had that sort of remake.
Yeah,
That's
the
anything
only
on
one of
back
those I
to-
ever played was the Strong Bad one.
Oh, Strong Bad's something.
It's something like You Dungeon Man or something. Yes,
But
Vi
You
Dungeon
Delicious in
has-
Dungeon.
yeah,
Vi Dungeon Man.
adventure
has
games
put out
have
their
never
Dungeon
been my cup of tea.
Dude, there's so much fun with them.
Dude, I've played text-based adventure games as recently as last year. Like, people still make those.
Like I said, I played it a week ago. A week ago
Actually,
today,
there's
actually.
there's an entire section of my personal Discord that's text-based games.
Oh wait, I did play
right?
Provo Adventure.
Yes, you did.
I was going to say
I created
that was like live interactive fiction there, right there, my friend.
That was fun.
See,
Should we
I
tell our
actually-
listeners what we're talking about?
Go ahead and explain Provo Adventure and how it traumatized your roommate.
So I actually got the idea from a friend of
Show us
mine.
those.
Yeah, I actually got the idea from a friend of mine. He just posted this on Facebook or something. And I was like, this is too much fun. And so what I did is I went and I created a thread on the Quark bulletin board. Yes, bulletin boards back in the day, that was a thing. And,
Before the Discords, guys.
I was bored at work, and so I looked around my cubicle and I basically described things, and I said exits are east, and I was just and basically started it off like a text adventure, and people responded and started playing the adventure, and I would just kind of fill in the gaps as it went. It was great. But like at first, I think they had me attack my boss and then drive off and wreck, and I kind of had them turn back time to revert. So I was like, "This is getting out of hand," and so
Yeah, I think I tried to accost someone as well.
yeah.
I just
I think you're the
remember
one
you
who
went
need
home.
my keys.
You went home and like you take the controller out of your roommate's hand. And meanwhile, your roommate is on the same board as us, and so he's just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah,
and
he
then
was
everyone tried to
moderately
start
uncomfortable.
sending you on dates with the Kinko's girl.
Yeah, that was very odd.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that part.
And-
Wow,
and-
yeah,
and then-
that really did go off the rails a bit.
Well, and then of course, who's the person who breaks it? Breakfast, because he tries to log into Provo Adventure inside Provo Adventure.
Yeah, he
Oh,
crashed
he
crashed
attempted
the
a
system.
recursive.
Oh man.
Because
Good old
that's
days.
the type of psycho that we're friends with.
But anyway, that's kind of the opposite of what we're talking about right now.
True, it's fun. Anyway, yeah. So, who's next? I think Kamizite was trying to talk about something.
Oh, I was going to say that I remember when I bought my first video game ever. It was
Oh.
from Toys R Us. I had saved up birthday money and gotten the original for the NES, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And if you've ever
Oh,
played the
I
original
love that
Teenage
game.
Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Are you kidding? That game was so freaking hard.
it was insanely hard. And I am not a person who plays games for their difficulty. I play them to relax. It did
Splice
not
even did
relax
a
me.
comedy routine around it.
I did.
So I also learned then that Maybe I need to find a medium to check out these games before I spend my hard-earned birthday cash on it.
A medium?
So, like a GameFAQs or some Nintendo Power or something like that. And that's
Or
when I
someone with a
started-
crystal ball.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
were you consulting psychics on, should I be
No.
buying, Street Fighter 2 or no?
The strangest use of a Ouija board I've ever heard of.
Hey,
Actually, probably not.
Sounds like a good
Although-
basis for like a creepypasta, though.
although interestingly, that does lead into that does lead into the fact that my grandfather went on a hunt all across the New Orleans metropolitan area the Christmas that Super Mario Brothers 2 came out. And I don't know if you're old enough, Jordan, but Baggins, you might be, and I don't know how old you are, Patricia.
Baggins
you
is the oldest
remember-
of all of us other than you.
I mean, do you remember the feather around Super Mario 2 when it came out? There were TV commercials. This was like, you see about like the Black Fridays and its predecessor, the It Toy of Christmas. This was the It Toy of Christmas. It was sold out everywhere. Anywhere that would show up, it would be swamped.
See,
And
I
so-
wasn't quite aware of the world at that point. I mean, like I was aware of the world, but I didn't know anything outside my little microcosm. But within Super Mario 3 is the one that I saw the hysteria around.
Which I
That's
remember
that's
that
the one
too.
I remember as well.
But I remember just how crazy it was, and I remember the reason why I remember it is because my mom straight up told me, "I know you've asked for this for Christmas. Santa might not be able to come through on this one. That might be an IOU. So we will make."
Is this
sure
the
that you have
commercial
something nice.
when I'm playing right now? Wait, it'll be delayed for you. It'll show up in a second, though.
Yes, I believe it is. But I mean, like, it was like a big deal. And so I didn't find this out until much later because all I knew is that, I woke up on Christmas and the game that I wanted was there. So Santa came through.
Nice.
Why you hating on Santa, Mom? Why I've got faith in Santa. Why didn't you have faith in Santa, Mom? I knew Santa was going to come through. He's my boy. Found out later that just basically the couple of days before, my grandfather, God rest his soul, went to every department store in the New Orleans area.
He like low-key had his own Jingle All the Way experience.
Like something like that. But as the story's told to me, and my family is a bit of an embellisher, so take this for whatever it's worth. But he went to like all the department stores. He went to Service Merchandise. He went to trying to think of some of the other ones that were in this
Service
area.
Merchandise. Wow.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just haven't heard that store's name in
Maison
so long.
Blanche. He hit up the Babbages in the mall. He just went all over the place, anywhere that he could. Every toy store, every department store, from the west, from one end of the West Bank to the other side of Kenner, could not find it. And then while he was driving back home, he was turned onto Williams Boulevard, which isn't really significant to anyone that doesn't know the New Orleans area, but that's the way to get to the airport, and to Veterans, which is the main pass-through from Metairie into New Orleans proper. And as he turns on and he's driving down, he noticed just out of the corner of his eye in one of the little strip malls, there was this place, this little tiny shop with a sign outside, the Warp Zone. And he turned in, walked in, and it was this little tiny video game shop that everyone went over that had about 4 or 5 copies of Super Mario 2 just sitting there. And he picked one up, and that's how he saved Christmas.
That's awesome.
Grandpas are
Yeah.
the best.
He really was.
Plus the
Yeah,
fact that
to
the
the
name of
Warp
the store is
Zone.
the Warp Zone. That's
I
awesome.
know.
That sounds like a
That-
great store.
Like, isn't that just like, but like in the context of the story and what he
Well,
was
in the
going
context
for,
of the 80s.
yeah, isn't that just like that's like the perfect ending to like the movie, like the angel shows up out of nowhere moment.
In the Warp Zone.
Yeah, you're looking for a Mario game, and then suddenly you find a store called the Warp Zone that just happens to have it.
And you hear the Zelda do 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 do.
Yep, exactly. So, That's like the coolest. That was, I guess, my grandfather's first pre-order experience before pre-ordering was a thing.
Yeah.
Absolute craziness.
Well, that was just how you had to get games before pre-orders existed.
Yeah. And then pre-orders happened, and that turned into a whole thing too.
No pre-orders.
Ooh. I've got a pre-order story, but like I want to. Well, we can save that for the next bit.
No, you were talking about the Blockbuster experience as far as like that's how you try out games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the video game section of Blockbuster didn't like it's insane how quickly it grew, and it was literally its own like storefront at our local Blockbuster, where at first it was just this little corner. It started moving into its own, like, you know, started growing, and then they built like an actual storefront for it, and it was like walking into a different store. And I just remember it blew my mind when I first saw that, because letting me know, oh, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal.
See, Blockbuster was the upgrade, because for the longest time I went to a place called Video Express.
I'm with you there.
So like a mom and pop level, or
I think
is that
they
actually a
eventually
chain?
eventually got bought out by Movie Gallery or Movie Gallery. But yeah, it was sort of a local place. That's the second most ghetto place that I've rented games. The first most ghetto was a place. It was a pharmacy called Farmore. And they rented games for like 75 cents.
Sorry, your pharmacy rented games?
Yes.
I don't know what was up,
no, that's my best friend. His mom, we'd always get our games and movies for whenever I'd spend the night at Winn-Dixie.
Well, yeah, I knew the grocery stores. The grocery stores I've
Yeah,
done
but
before,
it was right next to the pharmacy. It's where you got it.
Yes, that would be. But like actual pharmacy, like that's all. Well,
That's who would ring us up, was the pharmacist
The
or
pharmacist?
whoever was doing the pharmacy. Like that was, for whatever reason, that was their duties. They controlled the rental space and getting people their Vicodin.
Can you imagine?
One bottle of Child's Tylenol and a Game Boy game.
Yes.
Basically, anything addictive goes in this corner.
Hey.
Here's your Prozac and the never-ending story. Have a great weekend.
Basically.
Oh,
That's how I ended up watching that horrible Whoopi Goldberg dinosaur movie that she didn't want to be in.
Yeah, she was a black.
Oh my gosh, what was that called? It was like
I think it's
Rex
called-
and
Those words.
something.
I think it's called like Dinosaur World or something.
No, it's prehistoric Rex or something like that.
Was that weird?
Yes,
the dinosaur
yeah.
story or?
Whoopi.
No, that's an animated one. That's an animated one.
Oh, it wasn't animated.
Yes, that
No,
one was
it-
animated.
Wow.
I'm looking
I
it
know
up.
that one well.
Theodore Rex.
Theodore
Julia
Rex.
Child.
Theodore-
Theodore Rex. Yes.
Yes, and it was
How did
famous
I
because
miss
she
this?
agreed to do it. Then she got the script, saw the script was absolute just garbage, said, I'm not doing this. And they're like, but you have a contract. And she's like, it's horrible. I'm not
contract.
doing it. And they threatened to sue her if she wouldn't do it, which, like, legally, yeah, you have the right. But now you have an actor, your big actor, who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
That's going to turn out well.
Her web connects them all.
No, but I had two mom and pop stores. I had Hollywood Video, but not that Hollywood Video, and I had Lakeside.
Oh, thank goodness,
Video.
because they have.
Wait,
I'm
not
on
that Hollywood
I'm on a hit list for Hollywood Video.
for Aeon Flux.
Yes, for Aeon
Well,
Flux. I'm
this
glad that you remember.
The Hollywood Video that I had predated the Hollywood Video chain, at least in my area. It was just Hollywood Video, and then it was bought out by Blockbuster, who in turn was bought out. The location was bought out by Hollywood Video, which was then again bought out by Blockbuster a second time. I don't understand how it happened. And then Lakeside Video just remained a mom and pop until it became a pizza parlor. But that was that. It was at that Lakeside Video that I actually got to play Super Mario Brothers 3 and rent it before it was even out. Because because the people, and that's why the mom and pops were like the best place to go. I don't know about your experience, Baggins, but apparently the person who ran ours was a connoisseur and would occasionally import like stuff from Japan. And so I brought home, it's like, hey, this looks like a Mario game. Oh, wait, this is Super Mario 3 from that Wizard movie.
Wow.
And so I was playing the Japanese version for
It was not even the localized, like, wow.
No,
Was
I had
was
no
it not
idea what
region
was
locked?
going on. Nope.
I don't know if they had such a thing back then.
They might have, but like
Well,
like I
so
said,
the
occasionally
way the region locked worked back then was the actual hardware was different, but
It'd be different.
but
Like the
yeah.
Super Famicom is different than
but at that point they had the I can't
This is
remember, it was
early,
a
though,
Scott the
yeah.
Woz video where there was the Japanese had a version of the NES now because they got a version of the top loader before we did. And that was playing the US version of games.
Yeah, it was pretty like I again, it's one of those vivid memories where it was just like, oh, this is actually Super Mario 3. I had gotten it out of some weird curiosity. It's like, this is probably just some like knockoff Mario game, but I've played everything else in here. Why not? It looks different. Let's see what happens. And it just turned out to be the actual game. I was like, no way. And I got to play it for a whole 4 days, and then I sent it back, and I guess word got out, or quite possibly somebody realized what they had and snagged it and ripped them off. You know, because I never saw it again at that store, but for one glorious weekend, I got to beta test Super Mario 3.
Maybe you're the one who accidentally ripped him off. You lost it and never realized it.
Oh no! There was no way in hell I wasn't going to return that, because I could only imagine. Plus, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be the guy that rips them off. I want everyone to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, that's the camaraderie of the old thing.
Yeah.
Yep. If you get a game that has some kind of like save state, you either, you know, rent it until you're finished and just try and keep renting it, or you wipe it before you go so the next person doesn't have to, you know, wipe your stuff for you.
Oh, that was absolutely an event, because like if you rent a game and you're playing like a game with a save battery on it, and then you go home,
the feverish drive to finish Ocarina of Time.
right?
Yep.
But then you come back and you're trying to make sure that you get the same copy.
The same.
That, in my opinion, was what made memory cards a game changer.
Yes, yes.
Literally.
It changed the rental game though. But for some reason I actually kind of loved the whole renting a cartridge, pulling it up and being like, you know, looking at it and trying to figure out who the person is before me, like what names they chose for the characters. It's just, who are you?
Who is Fart?
Exactly. But it was just there was something really magical about, you know, the weekend where it's like, okay, you get to rent a video game or a movie and get a pizza, and that's your Friday night plans. Your friends come over and you stay up way too late eating things you never should, and there was just something pure about that.
I mean, it's how I discovered Super Smash Bros. Because my buddy, he rented it because we had seen the commercial, and we're just like, what is this? Then he rented it. He's like, dude, you got to come try this. And so I did, and you know, that's one of those core moments of your life that you didn't know everything was changing.
That's how I discovered Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior. You know, so for those who aren't aware, the Dragon Quest series in America was originally known as Dragon Warrior.
I had Dragon Warrior 1.
Mm-hmm. I remember renting those games and being like, this is fascinating. There's a story. I can move around. What is going on? And it just blew my mind. The original Final Fantasy, it rocked my world.
Oh, and I had to end up with Mystic Quest instead of Final Fantasy.
Dude, do not knock Mystic Quest. I love that game. It is not a great game, but I love it.
You are free to
This
knock whatever you want.
We've had this conversation. It was not a bad time, but it was not what I was expecting.
Mystic Quest. So I was already into the Final Fantasy genre at that point, and I saw it. I was like, this is a Final Fantasy game, and I can jump and use weapons. And so it was just like, this is awesome.
I was looking for the frickin' airship, and I didn't get it, and I was disappointed.
No, I have memories, like core memories from playing Mystic Quest.
My core memory was disappointment, I'm afraid.
For me, the core memory being disappointment was when we rented Quest 64.
Dude.
Oof.
Everything I just said about Mystic Quest, take the opposite for Quest 64, because my gosh, that game was
That's
hot,
not what I was
steamy
thinking.
garbage.
I literally couldn't figure out how to play it. I got in my first
one
fight.
could.
I got in my first fight, and I got stuck in that circle, and we never left it.
Oh, that game was so bad. Like, I was so excited because I remember being so disappointed when FF7 went to the PlayStation, because I had an N64. And Final Fantasy at the time was my absolute favorite series. And I saw Quest 64. I was like, ooh, a JRPG for the N64. So cool. Brought it home, put it in, and just... I'm not over it yet, guys.
You still haven't healed.
I still have the scars. I remember I went out and I bought an N64 memory card specifically for that game. And it just... I never used it.
Quest 64 is the only game we ever returned to Blockbuster. Which I didn't know we could do. I just remember it's like, my mom was like, weren't you playing your game? Because we would go every weekend. And
With buyer's remorse.
yeah, and I'm just like, I can't, it's horrible. She's like, well, let's take it back. And I'm like, that's an option?
I learned that cheat code by accident. Because I don't remember what game it was, but I rented it and I beat it in just a couple of hours. And I was like, I mean, I don't need this. I may as well take it back so I don't have to worry about it being
So you're still fair at the Steam policy then.
But the thing is, so I took it back to them, and the guy at the counter was just like, "Well, do you want to get a different one instead?" And I was like, "I can do that." It's like, dude, yeah. And it was like, he's seeing like this kid bringing in a game, a little disappointed that he wasted his weekend money. He's just like, just get a different one, and.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was a Blockbuster, but like that was also one of the magics of like the mom and pop video store. Is that they had the freedom. It's like, dude, you're good. Like, just get what you want.
I think it was just the magic of things still being like, even if it was a franchise, it's locally owned.
Yeah. No, the thing that blew my mind about Blockbuster though was when I discovered they rented systems.
Yeah.
Like you could actually rent a Super Nintendo from them.
I never went that far, but
I never actually did it because I actually.
How long did they keep that up? Did they go into the PlayStation era with that?
I don't remember.
I do remember the time when they would rent the systems,
just remember,
but like I begged one time and I was told no.
Yeah, I remember you could rent a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis. And I always kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this." And then I put it off because I was the kind who was afraid to ask my parents. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and so a lot of times I'd ask my parents for things. It's like, "No, we can't do that." And
I'm the oldest of 7 kids.
And so it was just sort of a... but like I ended up finally getting a Super Nintendo, and so I never had to rent it. And then I won my Sega Genesis at a 4th of July fair.
Nice.
So that's a whole story too.
Sounds like it.
I believe you told it.
I think I have told it.
No, So this is just a random aside. What did your local Blockbuster become? Because mine became a taco shop.
I think mine's still there.
Just empty?
As a
think so.
Blockbuster? Or just an empty? Oh.
There's only one Blockbuster left, so
Yeah,
unless
isn't that like an
that
Oregon?
Blockbuster-
Or...
It might be.
And it's now an Airbnb.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can still rent it, but you could stay the night in there for like this one of a kind experience or something.
See, there were a bunch of Blockbusters around me. The one which would turn out to be the one for my youth. I think it is now. I mean, it was in a strip mall, and it was a big portion of the strip mall. So I think it might be a dentist office, a Chinese restaurant, and a shoe store.
All I know was my Blockbuster was literally right next to a Kodak store. So to say that little corner didn't survive is an understatement.
I think it got torn down, and they built a Taco Bell on top of it.
So yours became a taco shop too, just a crappier one.
Dude.
I think mine became a credit union, actually.
I know the one the one in Provo got turned into a dojo for a while.
Yep.
I mean,
It's now a flower shop.
Is it really?
Yep.
And then the Hollywood Video is a parking lot now.
Thank goodness, because again,
All,
they
all
put
because of Aeon Flux.
all because of Aeon Flux. Rented it one time, went to
the
return
lender.
it. It was closed, so I couldn't return it because they didn't have a drop-off point, which I was just like, what the crap is that? And then I, promptly 2 months later, discovered Aeon Flux had fallen into the corners of my car, and it's like, well, can't ever go back to Hollywood Video because I've apparently taken out a small loan with them in terms of late fees. And then they went under, and it's like, oh, thank goodness, I'm safe. But no, so those are the rental experiences. What did you guys ever have a game you stood in line for?
not a game, but a...
Not a game, but a system.
Not until much later in life.
I mean...
And I regretted it.
Oh?
Yeah.
Tell us your regrets.
Sure. So this was 2006. This was the year of the Wii. So if you all remember, the Wii, you couldn't get it. Like, it was sold out everywhere.
I have a
But
story about that. That's actually my next story, but go ahead.
sure. So anyway, like, my brother happened to be visiting me in Provo, and he's like, "Oh, I really want one of these, and I know they're selling them at Circuit City, and like, so let's go at 4 a.m." And I'm just like, "Dude, He's like, "No, let's do it. It'll be great." And I'm like, "Okay." And so we go there, and the line is
The narrator says it
frickin-
wasn't great.
it wrapped around the dang store, and by the time we got like halfway to the door, like word was passed up that they'd already sold out the versions that they had. But like my brother was like, "Well, we're already here. We might as well get something." And so we ended up buying Guitar Hero 2. But not only did we buy Guitar Hero 2, we purchased a Guitar Hero 2 copy that was apparently set aside for someone else. But like we somehow overrode it because it had like a big sticker with someone else's name on it, and we screwed that person over.
Wow.
Just because we had to get something, because we were there from 4 a.m. until 9.
So you're the villain of someone's story.
Yeah.
He was the villain of your story.
Well, it was pretty miserable. The only thing that made that day better was the BYU Utah game.
Yeah, well, that was a good day.
Wait, what
It was
was
the
the
Johnny
problem?
Harleen in the end zone run.
What was the problem with Guitar Hero 2?
It wasn't
Guitar
the
Hero
Wii.
2 was great, but I also didn't have a PlayStation, and so we didn't get to do anything with it until Christmas when we went back home where the PlayStation was. So I mean, like, it was a very delayed gratification type thing. And that was the last time I did any Black Friday shopping in person anywhere. I was done with all that.
Yeah, I've never done Black Friday shopping.
Kami, you tell your Wii story, and then I've got one too.
I mean, mine is kind of like the polar opposite of what Patricios just said.
Mine too.
So here's my Wii story. So for context, I didn't actually wasn't trying to get a Wii for me. My roommate at the time, who was my best friend, he is the Baggins to my Splice, wanted a Wii. He wanted one, and it was coming out, and he had tasked his girlfriend, soon to become his wife, at the time, hey, could you get up in the morning, go up to GameStop, and get one? Like, go stand in line. That actually wasn't a bad strategy, because usually that GameStop was kind of hidden off to the side, and a lot of people didn't think to go there. But she slept in, got there late, and didn't get one for the line. Now, there was an interesting backstory to this, because there was like about a month ahead of time he had announced this, and they were trying to make plans. My father was a warehouse manager at Sam's Club. And I just happened to mention to him offhand, it's like, hey, just happened to get like a Wii in or something. Like, I mean, like, don't get in trouble or anything, but like, if you could hold it and just let me know, and I'll come get it from you or something, but like, don't get in trouble or anything. Just an offhand comment I made, and just didn't register it. And as many of these stories go from the old apartment, there I am on the morning of the Wii release. I had been out with friends the night before.
The Wii lease, if you will.
The Wii lease. And I had drunken probably a little more than I should. Not like full on, but like in the depths of sleeping off my night. And I get a call. And I pick up the phone. What? And my dad's on the other line. Hey, I got one. But you got to come now. Okay. Get up. Get dressed. Walk out to my car. Drive to Sam's. Call my dad on my cell phone. Hey, I'm here. And he's like, we'll come to you. And my dad comes out. And I'm guessing his boss was the other guy, comes out holding a Wii. He looks at my dad, looks at me. And he's like, this is the guy? And he says, yep. He hands me the Wii. I turn immediately, and I get into line. And that was the most uncomfortable for people waiting to get into line, because everyone in the line in front of me and everyone in the line next to me saw what I had in my hand. And it was just like, where did you get that? And I'm like, there. It was just there. I don't know. And one person got out of the line. I'm like, okay. Am I about to fight some soccer moms? Is that what's about to happen here? Get to the line.
Kamisite will throw down with a soccer mom or two.
I mean, like, look,
I'd buy a ticket.
Look, this was happening, because I sat there and they got me scanned out, got my receipt, got my car, drove home, took a picture, and then took a picture of it, and I made sure to put it on our table with the wall scrolls that we had and posters in our living room, so he knew that this was absolutely there, and sent it to him at work,
along with a picture of a copy of today's newspaper.
I mean, I didn't go that far, but the receipt was in there so that he knew. And he was like, no. Like, he immediately, like, I'm like walking back up so I can go back to bed.
He sees an image and he tells it to shut up.
Yeah. I imagine that's what he did, because before I got from the kitchen to the upstairs, like he had called me. And it's like, no, how? And it's like, I'm people who know people, man. You doubt me, and I come through. Kami comes through 100% of the time.
Just like
and
Santa.
He paid it back paid me back for it and everything. But
runs in the family.
That apparently, just magically, it worked out, and I managed to get a hold of it, and that was that. And that's how my best friend got a Wii at launch.
Okay, so first off, you need to contact the people who wrote Modern Family because I think they ripped your story off. There's an episode that's basically that, but for the iPad. And secondly, I have my own story about getting the Wii because
Okay.
I was the like when I found out about the Wii when it was the Nintendo Revolution, like I was all in immediately. Like I was following it and just like seeing what is this?
How
What
could
is
you
this?
not? Everyone wants to be part of the revolution.
Darn straight. But one of the bits of research that I did because I knew people who worked at GameStop is I found out when it went on pre-order. And that's when I waited in line. And let me tell you, that line was far shorter because this was like right before all of the craziness happened, you know, because the craziness happened after the Wii and the PS3 came out. This was before that. And so I just basically waited in line at 6 a.m. at a mall for like an hour and a half. And I got my pre-order. And then of course the release happened. And I remember I went to the store and there were people lined up out the doors of the mall because it was a midnight release. And it was just like huge line. And then I just walked in, you know, they're all sitting there hoping to get theirs. I just walk in, give them my name. They hand me a Wii and I just sort of grin as I walk away. And I'm just like, I need to get out of here now because my life is in danger. But,
Yep,
yeah,
100%.
it was me and my friend Peter. He went with me. I was just like, hey, do you want to come with me to the midnight release of this thing so I can pick it up? I was like, sure, why not? So he picked up a copy of FF12 and I picked up the Wii. And it's just like all these people telling these stories of camping out for days. I'm just like, I waited an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I've never done the console thing, mostly because there's never been a console that's come out. It's like I have to have it right now. The closest I have to that is the GameCube, and I never even purchased one of those. I won that because I'm awesome. But
Well,
no.
people win consoles.
yeah, not in a giveaway.
On eBay.
That's a good place to win it with money. No, and so that's the closest I've ever been where I got a console on release. But the one I did, like, I'm just like thinking, I'm like, did I ever stand outside waiting for a game? And I realized I've never have, except for one time, and that was for Metroid Dread. It was fairly recent.
That's right.
Metroid Dread. I don't think I even know that one.
You
What?
don't know Metroid? It's the most recent in the Metroid series.
I don't own
It came out like last year.
any Metroid games since Metroid Prime 2. Yeah.
It
I've never played a
came out in
Metroid game.
2021, Bill. Just to let you know, you're getting old.
Oh my gosh, stop.
But no, it came out and it was just one of those things that because I had heard basically that if you wanted the physical copy, you're going to have to. You might have to fight for it because Nintendo seemed like underestimated the demand for it. And so I went to the GameStop in the mall just over here and I went like as soon as it opened and there was already a line of like 10 people. I'm like, oh crap. Luckily they had enough copies and I was able to get it and the amiibo that came with it. That was the main thing because I do collect amiibo. But I have the physical copy and it was cool because it was a real throwback to the old days of camping out because Metroid is a classic game series that people want the physical copy of.
Well, it's just so much purchasing and pre-ordering is done online these days. That's an experience that just is going away.
Yeah. Well, and
Died out.
yeah,
And
well,
it's a
'cause
shame.
a lot of it makes sense, right? Because from a business perspective,
But for me, like my loan experience was very poor, so I'm happy about that.
yeah. Well, and it makes sense also just from the company perspective to, if we do this pre-order thing, we know how many we need to make so they can prevent their, warehouse stuff. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, between like movie theaters and such and having to camp out so that you can get a somewhat decent seat and you do lose some of that communal experience.
Okay, now to be fair, my last experience doing that, the very last time I ever did that with a movie theater, that was a bad experience.
Oh, was it the same one for me, maybe?
Was it The Last Airbender?
Yes, no.
That is the last midnight release I think I ever, or
Yes,
that I ever had to
same,
camp
same.
out for.
Everything-
I
Oh my
have
God.
I have never camped out for a movie.
Oh gosh, like it wasn't actually camping out. Like it was just getting there like 2 or 3
It was
hours
the midnight
early.
release. People were dressed up. It was
Yeah.
fun. The most fun I had was before the show even started.
Then everything changed when the movie attacked.
Everything changed when M. Night Shyamalan attacked.
It was back when you had hope. Before that hope was destroyed. It was a simpler time then.
No, the camping out experience is an interesting one because there's the communal experience, but then there were just the fanatics where they are camping out for like 2-3 days, and I'm just sitting there like, how though?
But it's just there's something cool about the waiting in line experience because you're coming across people who are the same kind of weird as you.
Exactly. That matters.
Because like you're in this line with a group of strangers, yes, but you all immediately have something in common.
And that's why it's good. Now, it's also one of those things that would I want to go back to that? You know, just thinking of it logically. Do I want that? And I think I do prefer the system better, but there is something lost.
There's a part of me that thinks the trade-off would be worth it.
I definitely wouldn't want it for movie theaters. Because
I'll agree with you on that. That was insanity.
well, and there's been so much wrong with a lot of those releases and fights breaking out and
Supply being linked to.
Yeah.
With movie theaters, it's also less of a loss because even now, when you have your seats reserved, because they stack those showings so close together on the opening nights,
Yeah, they'll
you're
have,
still
like,
going to wait in a
multiple
line.
Screens, and it's not like you're not getting in.
You're still going to wait with a group of people to be led into the theater.
That's there.
but yeah,
I don't know. I
there-
don't think I miss the waiting in line, the experience. Like it was cool. Most of my waiting in line, though, I had a job that was right next to a GameStop, and so most of my line waiting was just like, "Hey, I'd like to." Was going on my lunch. Hey, I want to pre-order this. $5 down. Awesome. Cool. See you in a couple months.
Yeah. See, for me, the thing that I don't necessarily miss it for me, because I do feel like I'm getting too old to do that kind of stuff, but I do miss it for like the later generations because it was just an experience that I felt was kind of formative that they're missing out on.
I have to agree with you there, and actually it's something which plays a part to a bigger pathos with the younger generation when it just involves tech in general. Like at my regular job, I cannot tell you how many people who are younger than me say, "Oh, I don't know anything about computers. Oh, I'm not good with computers." And I think,
What?
you've grown up literally with a computer in your hand, and it's been theorized because people who are my age and Baggins' age, and I don't know how old Patricia is, and Splice on the end cap there, you know, technology was coming out as we were growing up. My first computer was a 10D800 when I was 6 years old. But my first computer as somebody who could really appreciate it was a Gateway 3000.
The Gateway. The cow computer.
Exactly. And our experience was if we wanted to make it better, we had to figure it out. We had to figure if we wanted to make that stuff last because it was so expensive then as compared to now. We had to learn how to overclock. We had to learn how to replace parts. We had to learn how to how to do things because we were all in it. We had to learn how to get past the stuff in Windows or how to change stuff so that it fit our workflow better.
Just be careful not to accidentally delete the config.sys file.
Exactly. But we were in it doing it.
Uh-huh.
And the
we
generation
were making
came,
those mistakes.
we were making those mistakes. But the generation after us never had to because we had already figured that stuff out.
Well, and that's why Go ahead. That's why I've always been a PC person.
Yeah.
Because I've always said, like to a lot of people who are like, well, this is why you should do a Mac. And I've just been like, a Mac thinks like a person. A PC thinks like a computer. I think like a computer. And so it just sort of makes sense to me. But there's just that frontier feeling about it. And it's frustrating seeing that go away more and more with each iteration.
Absolutely. But I mean, like, and tying this back to the main theme here, I do think in some cases that it was lost. And I mean, it's not even just like games. Like, I remember standing in line to get tickets to go see a concert, and you don't really do that. You sit in a queue online nowadays.
Yep.
And
then get mad when the site goes down.
And when the site goes down, or when the lottery, which is the way it's all done now, is basically, doesn't drop your way. It happened to my sister because she's a huge Swiftie and was trying to get Taylor Swift tickets. And she was in her little lottery category trying to get them, and her category was called last. And there were no tickets by the time they got to her.
It just happened with me and Splice for Dragonsteel Nexus coming up in December.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I remember standing at the Blockbuster because they were a Ticketmaster outlet, or going down to the Ticketmaster window in the mall. Like, you had to go and actually stand and do that stuff. And for certain things, I would do that for. And certain things, I would not.
Well, and what could happen is when you're in line and they sell out of tickets, the people are all behind you. They kind of commiserate together. Now, if you don't get a ticket, you go to Reddit and rage about it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you get really desperate, like my sister did, and you try and see if you can buy a ticket from skeevy person on Facebook and get off out of $500.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Scalping doesn't even happen in person anymore.
No, it doesn't. Like, they tried. I mean, like, it's funny because I've actually been to a few like Saints games in the last year or so, and I see the scalpers out there with the tickets, and it's just like, dude, nobody does those tickets anymore. It's all an app now, bud. Like, I don't know who you think you're gonna get with this. Not me. I mean, I guess if they keep doing it, they're getting someone.
Yeah, they're getting someone.
But I mean, like, it's just, it's crazy, and it's, like Baggins said, it's a piece of the experience of our childhood, which has kind of been phased out. And I'm not sad it's phased out, but it's
I'm
also
not
something
sad for me. But I am sad because, again, it was just there was something special about it that they're not going to get to experience.
No, well, and it's why it's really important to create those communal events now, because things are it's interesting. We have a crisis of convenience, where we've over optimized,
and I think that is the benefit of particularly the smaller, more local conventions. Is there is still aspects of that where you can come together. Like, the bigger ones are great, but there's just something special about the smaller ones where it's a more personal feeling.
Absolutely.
Rather than feeling like a drop in a giant pond, you feel more like a part of a community.
Right.
Well, there's something that I do miss about game stores and Blockbuster. The thing that I remember always looking at was the big release board by the cash register. That was like for me, that was just like, this is my future. Like, we got coming out on September 29th, that's the Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get ready for that. Got to save up for that. Now, it's a different topic. Gaming journalism itself has been so consolidated and hollowed out that, there's no one place where you can just go and see where are the games that are coming out for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
E3 is gone, for crying out loud.
Well,
yeah.
And honestly, there's a part of me that kind of misses not knowing what's coming down the pipeline.
Everything's
able to
spoilers nowadays.
Exactly. It's just like you look up and you're like, oh, there's a game coming out in that series in 3 years. I'm just like, I loved going to going to
3 years is way too long.
But I loved going to a game store and being like, oh, that's out now. I didn't know it was out yet. There was just something cool about making those discoveries.
Yeah. And what did we get in return? Because I feel like that's the natural next part of the conversation.
Kickstarter.
What did we got? Kickstarter. We got Game Pass. Game Pass is now the rental store or whatever Sony's version of it. Sony
Early access is all over the place.
Early access. You end up with games that are in early access for 10 plus years and are charging thousands of dollars for add-ons to it.
Breakfast! Where are you, Breakfast? Where's my
Leave
Star
Breakfast
Citizen
alone.
friend?
He doesn't need to. He's just
I want
mighty.
the Star Citizen take. Where's the Star Citizen take?
We'll get to Breakfast Star Citizen trauma. We're not there yet, though.
But it's that's what you've been replaced with. If you want to try a game before you buy it, you wait until it comes out and you get Game Pass and hope it's on there. If you want to. Or if you have a PC, maybe you're lucky and they decided to do a demo or early access in some aspects. That's what your that's what your rental store has become. Pre-orders have taken the whole thing because you don't go stand in a store unless you really, really want to anymore. You order it off of Amazon or someplace else, and they just ship it to your front door.
And now there's pre-order exclusives, so it's just like, well, you gotta pre-order it
because it's from their perspective. What's better than getting your money? Getting your money right now.
Well, not only that, that helps their ratings on the the bestseller lists and everything. Pre-orders are first day sales.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and it's even better than that. It's because if you pre-order, the odds of you not buying are insanely low. So you get the money now, and you get the money now.
And then even if you put out a crummy game, you got the money already.
Well, and on top of it, it's also a lot of these game companies don't have the best cash flows, and so pre-orders are a way to. How do we get a portion of that cash flow moved forward a bit? Sacrifice some of the later to have some now. And
that's why Kickstarter and Indiegogo and those places have blown up with that, because that's another way to, crowdfund. And like everything in that genre, it was good when it started, but then there were some bad actors who ruined it for everyone.
Yep.
Or basically when people kind of solve the equation of it, and it's just like it loses its organic feeling.
Or like in some cases where you just kickstart everything that you do. You kickstart, and that's a whole skeevy business practice that I do not like at all.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
Not naming any names, but Wormwood.
There are certain.
I'm looking at you with that one, buddy. Wormwood tabletop accessories and stuff like that. They do that with all of their tables. They do that with every single product, and it's just like, and I could just go on and on about all of that, but like in essence, like just your company that is a multi-million-dollar company. You have 3 locations. At what point do you need? At what point do you need to stop using Kickstarter? You can just put it out. Just invest in yourself.
Well, and the thing is, Kickstarter's not going to put any sort of limit like that because they're getting money from this. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's how they make their bread and butter. And I'm trying to think of like what some of these experiences have become, what they were for us and what they are now. I mean, like you could even go as far as saying go into the arcade. You could play some of these games that come out, but how many arcades are there really around anymore?
Only inside bowling alleys, from what I can tell.
Yeah, like bowling alleys.
Dave
like
and Buster's. Who's forgetting about Dave and Buster's here?
Dave and Buster's does exist, but
Dave and Buster's does exist, but it's so insanely overpriced. Like I've been to a Dave and Buster's exactly once in my life, and
Don't tell my son that.
Looking at the prices of those video games, and again, this might be me being an old, and just going, no, you cannot possibly.
I don't have kids, but I'm doing that. When I look at those prices, I just think to myself, we have video games at home.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Like that's exactly what I did. The one time.
It's like, why would I go to an arcade? I'm addicted to Balatro right now.
You need to go to a casino, obviously.
That would be the way to level up this addiction. That's a good idea.
Oh gosh, no. I will not have
Bill,
this
I've gotten addicted to Poker Plus. Regular poker should be easy, shouldn't it? Isn't that how this works?
Jordan, I am making a very, very blatant statement. Do not do this. Your mom will kill me.
I don't know. This seems like a wise investment opportunity.
No.
I'm just glad I'm not the one that suggested it.
I was making a joke. Let's make it very clear. This was a joke. This was not... Oh, I'm going to die.
Now, life advice from Baggins. Gamble, kids. It's good for you.
I said the opposite. I said the opposite of those things.
Bold to go for the pro gambling angle.
Form of gaming.
Let's see how that works out for him, Cotton. But I mean, can you guys think of like anything, anything that these experiences have become? Like, really, just Game Pass is the one.
The closest thing I can think of is like Pokemon Go meetups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Where there will be like a raid, and everybody will get together for this.
There was a moment when that was really,
Mm-hmm.
Even people at work. I remember at the time that it was hot.
Well, I remember my bestie, again, same guy I got the Wii for, was way into that, and he had to work one night, and was basically, if I give you my username and password, will you go to this meetup and will you get this thing for me? I'm like,
wow,
what? I mean, yeah, bro, I'll do anything you want, but okay. And like I did Pokemon Go on like the side thing. But he sure as heck gave me his information to put in my phone, and I went and I drove, and right behind a Sprint, there were 50 people just waiting for this thing to drop, and it was a little surreal. Like, it's just like, ooh, I don't know about this, but
gaming flash mob.
Yeah, But like my thought was, just like, I wonder what the people inside Sprint are thinking is happening out here.
They're probably just out they're probably out there trying to get whatever rare drop is coming.
Yeah, and they had, I mean, like they had to have dealt with this type of thing because there was a stop on the Sprint. So, like they had to have had people like going in and doing this stuff. But like it's still at the one time it's like, man, I would hate to work here. And you go walk out back to the parking lot, and there's just like 50 people with phones.
Like, does seem a little culty.
They made my local Mormon chapel a Pokestop. Funny enough.
Oh, do you know how many Pokestops there are?
Oh yeah,
in New Orleans. Like there were people who would rent out buses and go on a tour. Like me and my roommate. we would go, and we wouldn't go that far, but like we would go do like I used to have like a subscription to like the local the Ottoman Park, which also gave me a subscription to the Aquarium of the Americas and the Insectorium. And so what we would do is we'd just go walk a block to the streetcar and go onto the streetcar, and the entire way there we would just hit all the stops because the streetcar doesn't go over 10 miles an hour, and just hit all the stops on the way there. You have lunch, do the aquarium, hit all the stops on the way to the insectarium, you do that, hit all the stops there, get back on the streetcar, and then hit all the stops on the way back home. And there were people who would just sit there and just get a day pass for the streetcar and just go up and down the streetcar all day, hitting all the stops. That was what they did on their Saturday.
That's not that bad an activity, actually. That'd be a fun thing, just like as a day.
Yeah.
If you just hang out with a friend, it's like fishing.
But there were some people who would just sit there. It's like, hey, if you give me a burner phone, and I'll just go and I'll just do all this stuff for you, and pay me $20, and I'll just do that for an afternoon for you.
See,
wow,
now,
real life gold farming.
Yeah, no, 100%. That was I know there was like a meme about it, but 100% you'd catch people doing that. You'd have people with like 5 or 6 phones, and I just think it's like, dude, bro, like, you are lucky if you do not get mugged doing that.
Well, I do remember with the Pokemon Go craze, there were some issues with that, with like people breaking into people's yards because there was some rare Pokemon in it, and they're just like, please stop.
There were a couple of signs in my neighborhood. There's one house that's kind of like a landmark that, you know, whenever I go get shawarma, I walk past. It's a Pokestop, and there was like a sign, you know, trespassers will be dealt with accordingly. And this is New Orleans. They get dealt with accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Very accordingly.
Pokemon, go to the polls.
Like I remember like hearing some stories about people whose home had been turned into a Pokestop, and it was a beast getting it undone at first.
Yeah,
I think they've put in systems now where it's a lot easier to take it off, but it was just like they had people coming at all hours of the night, and it was just nuts.
I mean, I can only imagine what that's like. Like, I mean, I never had to deal with it, thank God, but like, holy crap!
But like
I do remember that there were lawsuits that started coming up about it.
But like, I feel like that's kind of the closest thing we've got these days to those kinds of meetups, like at the, you know, meeting up at the game store and that kind of thing, is just events like that.
No, totally. It's all with the games on your phone now that you can go and you can do some kind of cooperative experience with. So, I mean, it's sad.
But just I remember though going to rent a game or going to buy a brand new game. It was just an event. It was an experience. It was like, we are going, and today is a special day because we're doing this.
Yes, this is a day like you either saved up for, you've looked forward to, whatever you've done. This was like I said before, the Zelda meme. You go in, you get it, do.
Mm-hmm. You got the thing. Well, and then like at the rental places, those plastic cases.
Yeah.
Like especially at the mom and pop ones, because they were like these clear janky ones that didn't really fit the cartridge, but
janky
and never lined up correctly.
But like, you know, because like
scratched off sticker.
But like Blockbuster, they kind of, you know, manufactured their special shaped ones.
Yeah, they could do it in bulk.
But like the mom and pop ones, it was like a chunky, oversized CD case.
Yeah, or a VHS tape or tape box that they tried to ram a cartridge in.
Yep. And wouldn't close all the way because it didn't quite fit.
My favorite was when you'd get one that some kid wrote their name on. And you're just like
on the cartridge itself.
yeah, and you're just like, nice try, Curtis, but you still had to return it.
Oh, see, and my thought was somebody sold theirs copies.
Yeah,
of
maybe
the
they
original.
sold it. That was
Yeah,
another-
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that before GameStop, there was mom and pop rental shops.
And I prefer my version of things. Mostly screw Curtis.
What did
So-
Curtis ever do to you?
I was
bro?
thinking,
He
Just
wrote
like, what
on
did I
the
do?
box to Contra. That's what he did, and it just seems pretentious to me.
maybe it
might
was
have been
his
his
copy
box.
of Contra.
It just seems
So,
a little pretentious.
I have another
Like, you
thing that
don't know Curtis's life. Maybe he ran into hard times. Maybe he needed to sell that box of Contra to the store so that he could eat, so that his mom could eat, so that his sister could eat. You don't know what happened to Curtis. Don't judge him.
I
And
feel
George
very,
just
no,
like,
I feel very justified in my judging of Curtis.
And Jordan's just like, Curtis sold Contra for drug money.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve this game. I do.
he drowned a box of kittens after all.
That got dark fast.
It's a reference. It was someone in Cork who had that as a screen
long
name.
story.
Whose name was Kurt.
Oh my goodness, you're right. I forgot about that. Anyway,
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
okay. Anyway, no, the thing that I, just going forward though that I do see people now trying to make the experience more communal, trying to recapture that old spirit, and I don't know. It makes me hopeful.
Does it though? I mean, because as I'm thinking of this here, part of the experience was you're going somewhere to get something.
Yeah, I'm not saying
we're
you can
moving
fully. You can't. I'm not saying you can fully recreate it.
Well, I guess my point, and another thing that's kind of lost in it, is that, people are moving away from physical media. There is no thing to get. You just download it.
Which is why I'm actually, I make a point of purchasing physical media when there's something I like, just because I'm like, I want to support this because I want this to stick around. I like having a library of games or movies or whatever.
Right. I mean,
There is-
just that's a whole
there is
other
something that I feel like, I don't know, for me particular, when I purchase a PC game, usually, the first thing that I would do is I wouldn't install it. I would get the manual.
Oh,
And
the
I would
manual.
read the
manual.
So some of those manuals were books. So my very first purchase of any game was actually SimCity 2000, and at a Best Buy, and it was already, at the time, I think it was already like the like, I can't remember what they called, like it came with the Urban Renewal Kit. It was the remastered version,
The special edition.
the special edition type thing, and it came with like a book that talked about like urban design and the principles behind the models of SimCity 2000. And I remember I was so excited. I saved up my birthday money to buy this game, and I spent the first evening just reading the book. I just read the book. I didn't put the CD into the tower. That came the following day.
Yep. I remember when I'd go with my mom to a store, if I bought a game, on the way home, I would be reading the manual immediately. Like, that's just... And games don't even
about
have
standards
manuals anymore.
Yeah, the physical manual is just like... Yeah, they don't have them. I mean, like, oh, we'll just have a PDF if you really need
Well, it's
one.
like, I remember people were really, really upset of a game that I kickstarted recently, Ayuden Chronicle. The PC, you could order the PC physical edition. You got as one of the Kickstarter things. But people who, this was actually made very clear in the description of all the tiers and everything, but a lot of people were upset when they found out that the case came, you opened it up, and inside was a cardboard CD with a code on it. And it's just like, there is no physical media. You just paid for a case.
No book even for all
There was
that.
no book. There was no disc. It was just
It's just
a
the
case
download code.
and a download code. And it,
Oh,
people
man.
who are like, I want the physical edition of this, were furious. And I understand. I'm annoyed at them because, like I said, it was very, very clear in all of the descriptions. But at the same time, I am mad that they did it in the first place.
Well, Mithril brings up a really good thing that it was their early form of copyright protection. Those manuals often.
Oh,
It was very
And
creative.
now we're
Carmen
talking about the
Sandiego.
downside of things.
Carmen Sandiego would say, "Go to this page. What's the fourth word on that page?"
Even King Quest V would have they had like runes that you had to read that were only defined in the manual, and you had to like somehow like put in a certain sequence to start the game.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a problem because you now get into the issue of if you don't have the manual, you can't do it. Like I remember the one that now don't get me wrong, there's some cool mixed media stuff you can do with that, but suddenly you can't beat Star Tropics because you don't have the
map that you have to put in the water. That's exactly what I
Or
was
Metal
just
Gear
thinking
Solid
about.
because you don't have Meryl's frequency.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with Star Tropics, I know in the Nintendo Switch Online thing, if you can go in the description and it will have the code, but you have to know to do that.
Yeah, and that's just one of those like, love the idea, love the effort. There is a problem, there's a downside that comes with it that needs to be worked on.
And again, with Star Tropics, what you did is there was a map that came with it, and it told you to submerge the map in water, and it made the lettering appear. Well, you do that to a sheet of paper, it affects the quality and durability of said paper. And so it's not going to stick around. Well, and now we have this world of collectors. Everyone wants everything in mint condition. You got to stick something in water. There goes the resale value.
Yep.
Man, I'm suddenly remembering the very first Dungeons and Dragons book I ever owned.
Satan's Game?
Was not actually a Dungeons and Dragons like to play on tabletop, but it was in fact the manual to Neverwinter Nights.
I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne.
I remember my brother and I just poring over the Neverwinter Nights manual, building characters in our minds, before we even had the game installed.
I'm gonna make a drow warlock.
Named Charlemagne?
No, I was quoting Indiana Jones. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm trying. I missed how we got there.
He said something about I suddenly remembered, and my thought was remembered my Charlemagne.
I missed the suddenly remember. I'm just like, I know he's quoting Indy. I can't figure out how we got here. I understood that reference. No, but I don't know. I'm hopeful for the future as far as I think the younger generation is starting to realize that they're missing out on those classic experiences and they're trying to figure out how to make their own. Because they do have the problem of the economics of it are just so expensive. Like there's a reason that only the big companies could afford to make these games back then. It's because you had to do all this stuff. And now that the barrier to entry is lower, there is still a downside of trying to figure out, okay, how do we get the best of both worlds? And it's not an easy question to answer, but it's worth trying. But yeah.
Sorry, random aside. Was that just a commercial for ActRaiser?
Probably. This thing has had commercials for everything, including some I've had to skip because they had commercials for some pretty risque Japanese games.
There was a girl taking a shower. I'm like, oh dear.
Yep, it's like, what's going on here?
I was surprised to see an old Persona commercial. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I was like, what the crap? But yeah, I just found this thing. It's 7 hours of video game commercials. And I was like, oh, that should be fine. And then I forgot that the Japanese and European markets existed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different.
And they go a little more hardcore.
Man, I remember the one with the baby shooting out of the mom. Gosh,
I saw that one earlier.
Yeah, I saw that.
What was it for?
I don't know. I didn't want to stay because I was really uncomfortable with it.
I noticed that you skipped it, but I didn't like. I do remember this one. I just don't remember what it was advertising.
It sounds familiar.
Maybe it was a Nintendo thing, but I forget.
I don't think it was.
Or was it more Sega? Because Sega's more hardcore that way.
Yeah, it just sounds more Sega or PlayStation to me. Just they're willing to go hard on that stuff in their efforts to show how awesome they are. But no, and it's just the stuff slowly going away, but it'll be interesting to see. Oh, hey, there's the Persona thing. Anyway, but yeah, I think that there's going to be, like, obviously the sale of physical media is disappearing slowly, but I think in-person events, which is more the communal side that we were talking about, I don't know, I just have a feeling that's going to start making a comeback as people try and find ways to connect with each other. But that's just me. Anyway,
I mean, there are people who like that whole Steelbook thing that's kind of recently been coming
I do
out.
have one Steelbook actually myself.
So those aren't bad.
No. Heck, my Steelbook's Persona 5 actually. How's that for topical?
I think I only have one. No, I have a couple because I have the Metroid Prime trilogy and I have Final Fantasy 12.
I still have my Oregon Trail 2 pine box because I remember that was the big thing. It was like a common. But man, Oregon Trail 2 had such great additional content, and that manual was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know this.
Oregon Trail 2. It had full motion video, photographs, everything. It was a major upgrade.
For me, Oregon Trail will always be green and black.
I need to finish watching that video. The video game historian just put out a documentary on the development of Oregon Trail.
I just finished watching.
Company, really.
I just finished watching a documentary series called "Playing with Power: The Nintendo Story." Pretty interesting.
But yeah, all right, we've been going for a while. Let's start letting everyone promote stuff. Patripka, do you want to promote anything?
Nope, just happy to be here.
We're happy you're here too. Kamisite.
Good dental hygiene. Floss, kids, and brush your teeth.
As the grandson of a dentist and a guy who made false teeth, I agree. Baggins.
One of y'all should promote Lizzie's stream because Looney's not here to do it.
Oh, so. You know what? I'll promote Lizzie's stream. Go watch Lizzie's stream while brushing your teeth. She's a mom. She can appreciate it. Also, was that a Dusty Rhodes reference that you just made? He's the son of a plumber, and Cody Rhodes is the grandson of a plumber. So you're the grandson of a dentist, which makes you a wrestling dentist?
I literally don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Wait, this is wait, no, is that the Glorious guy in wrestling?
No. But it is a wrestling thing. But no, the Glorious guy is not wrestling right now because he fractured his neck.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, his neck is better, but, like, he's an agent right now because he's like, I'm almost 40, and I don't know how many broken necks I still have in me. So
hopefully none.
I can't wait till I become 40 when I can finally become a man.
Most people don't have one.
Quit referencing obscure coaches, Patripka.
I've got months to prepare for it.
All right. And then,
Well, okay.
yeah, Baggins.
Yeah, I'll promote splices of my other stream, the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies stream podcast. It's about Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books, and we're basically nerds who love books talking about books over there. So, and then my other podcast just put our last episode out last week. So
It was a good podcast.
it was.
All right. And then for me, normally I just say go to Splice Stream on Twitch and Kick, but I have a new YouTube channel that I'm going to be posting stuff on here pretty soon. Trivial Video Gaming. It's going to be mostly top 10s and video game trivia game shows, but if you have the time, look up Trivial VG on YouTube and give that a follow. And get prepared for when the videos start dropping.
Guys, I felt old tonight. I think we overleveled.